Hey girls, I'm so excited to be sharing what I learned from my verse. Um, I wanted to make my video when I had makeup done and all cute and all that, but I just wanted to have the video up and show y'all what God has shown me in this verse. So it was very interesting because first of all, I didn't even know that Obadiah was a book in the Bible. So I was like, oh my gosh, what am I getting myself into, right? No, but it was definitely interesting, a bunch of reading. So there's gonna be a bunch of Bible verses here. We're putting it all together. Yeah, my verse is in Obadiah 1:1, and I will read that, and then I will sort of explain what God showed me as I was studying it. So I'll read it here. I hope this video is not long again. But okay, Obadiah 1:1. This is the vision that the sovereign Lord revealed to Obadiah concerning the land of Edom. We have heard a message from the Lord that an ambassador was sent to the nations to say, "Get ready, everyone. Let's assemble our armies and attack Edom." So when I read this, I had two questions. Number one, who is Obadiah? Number two, why does God say, "Let's assemble our armies and attack Edom"? Why is he saying attack Edom? You know, that's very strong for God to be saying that. And the first part of the question is fairly simple. Obadiah was a prophet that God chose during this time, you know, to give this message on judgment on the Edomites. And the second part is why is God planning to attack Edom? Well, to understand that, we have to first know who Edom was. And the first time that Edom is mentioned in the Bible is in Genesis 25:30. It says, Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." This is how Esau got his other name, Edom, which means red. So we see here that the Edoms are descendants from Esau, and they're called the Edomites. Esau and Jacob were the twin sons of Rebekah and Isaac. And Isaac is the promised son of Abraham. And we know that since the womb, Esau and Jacob struggled. We see that in Genesis 25:22, which reads, "But the two children struggled with each other in her womb," Rebekah's womb. "So Rebekah went to ask the Lord about it. 'Why is this happening to me?' she asked." And then in verse 23, God replies, "And the Lord told her, 'The sons in your womb will become two nations. From the very beginning, the two nations will be rivals. One nation will be stronger than the other, and your older son will serve your younger son.'" The older son is Esau. The younger son is Jacob. And since the beginning, God knew that Esau would serve Jacob. And as we've read in the book of Genesis, which we've read already multiple times, we know that whenever, during the course of their time, Jacob and Esau, Jacob did some very hurtful things to Esau. And so I have two written down here that the Bible shows. We'll read in Genesis 25:27-34. 27-34. And this is when Esau sells his birthright. "As the boys grew up, Esau became a skillful hunter. He was an outdoorsman, but Jacob had a quiet temperament, preferring to stay at home. Isaac loved Esau because he enjoyed eating the wild game Esau brought home, but Rebekah loved Jacob. One day when Jacob was cooking some stew, Esau arrived home from the wilderness, exhausted and hungry. Esau said to Jacob, "I'm starved. Give me some of that red stew." "All right," Jacob replied, "but trade me your rights as the firstborn son." "Look, I'm dying of starvation," said Esau. "What good is my birthright to me now?" But Jacob said, "First you must swear that your birthright is mine." So Esau swore an oath, thereby selling all his rights as the firstborn to his brother Jacob. So here we see that Jacob, he didn't just give the stew to his brother. I mean, literally Esau was saying, "I'm tired, I am hungry." This is his brother, And Jacob doesn't just give it to him because he sees that he's really wanting it. No, he rather sells it. So that's a hurtful thing. Another hurtful thing he did was in Genesis 27, 1 through 40. I won't read that one, but it's where Jacob steals Esau's blessing from given to him by Isaac. And we know that story. And that's another hurtful thing that Jacob did to Esau. And how many of us know that whenever a family hurts us, it hurts way more than if a stranger hurt us. So we can sort of understand Esau here being, hurt by his brother Jacob, stealing from him, not being compassionate, loving maybe. But God does call us to forgive. And one of the problems that Esau had is that he did not, and he held on to bitterness. And we see that Esau was bitter in Genesis 27:34, which is after Jacob stole the blessing and fled. This is Esau's reaction. 27:34. When Esau heard his father's words, he let out a loud and bitter cry. "Oh, my father, what about me? Bless me too," he begged. So we see there the word bitter cry. And a definition of bitter is angry, hurt, resentful. And so how does this all tie up to Obadiah, right? Well, the anger and bitterness from Esau, the father of the Edomites, carried on to the descendants. So they still had anger, they still had bitterness toward Jacob, the Israelites, Jacob's descendants. And we see this in two areas where they carried that anger. It is in Numbers 20, 14 through 21. Numbers 20, 14. And this is, I'll read it. While Moses was at Kadesh, he sent ambassadors to the king of Edom with this message. "This is what your relatives, the people of Israel, say. You know all the hardships we have been through. Our ancestors went down to Egypt, and we lived there a long time. And we and our ancestors were brutally mistreated by the Egyptians. But when we cried out to the Lord, he heard us and sent an angel who brought us out of Egypt." I'm going to go to the part where it's important. So, well, I guess it's all of it. "Now we are camped at Kadesh, a town on the border of your land. Please let us travel through your land. We will be careful not to go through your fields and vineyards. We won't even drink water from your wells. We will stay on the king's road and never leave it until we have passed through your territory." But the king of Edom said, "Stay out of my land, or I will meet you with an army." The Israelites answered, "We will stay on the main road. If our livestock drink your water, we will pay for it. Just let us pass through your country. That's all we ask." But the king of Edom replied, "Stay out. You may not pass through our land." With that, he mobilized his army and marched out against them with an opposing force. Because Edom refused to allow Israel to pass through their country, Israel was forced to turn around. So the Israelites here were asking Edom, the Edomites, the king of Edom, if they can pass through their land. This is on the road. This is the Israelites' road to the promised land. But the king of Edom just didn't want to. He had that anger, so he was like, "No, you're not passing." So that's one area where we see that. And we see that because of that, the Israelites had to turn around, making their trip to the promised land longer. And then in Psalm, we can read another area where the anger was carried on Psalm 137:7. O Lord, remember what the Edomites did on the day the armies of Babylon captured Jerusalem. Destroy it, they yelled. Level it to the ground. So here we see that the Edomites encouraged Babylon's actions towards the destruction of Jerusalem, towards the destruction of the temple of God. So in all this, we see that the Edomites were just always against God's people, the Israelites. And so to show that, what was part of Isaac's blessing to Jacob in Genesis 27:29. I hope y'all are coming along. But Genesis 27:29, I don't have that one marked, but it's right here. This is part of Isaac's blessing that he gave to Jacob. 27:29, and it's the end. 27:29. That's not right. Hold on, it's not that. Oh yeah, it is. I was on the wrong. 27:29. Okay, 27:29. The ending says, "All who curse you will be cursed. All who bless you will be blessed." So, what was Esau doing, or the Edomites? They were cursing the people of God, the Israelites, the descendants of Jacob. So it says here, all who cursed you will be cursed. So the descendants of Esau just carried this bitterness, this hurt, leading them to be cursed because it was a promise from God. And what was the fruit of this? And it was pride. We see that in Obadiah 1:3. That shows the Edomites had pride. It says, "You have been deceived by your own pride because you live in a rock fortress and make your home high in the mountains. Who can ever reach us up here? You ask boastfully." And so there's just a bunch of hurt. There's just a bunch of hurt from the Edomites. They just carried this hurt from the beginning. But God calls us to forgive even when we feel like it's hurt that is justified. You know, a lot of times we're like, "Well, God, look what they did to me." Esau probably was like, "Look what Jacob did to me. Like, he hurt me. He's my brother. He hurt me." Right? So that's what I feel like God showed me in this verse, and this studying that I had, is just, even when we feel like it's justified, God calls us to forgive because we can't carry this. There's been a lot of times in my life when I've had to forgive family, I've had to forgive friends, and I didn't necessarily feel like I wanted to forgive. I didn't feel like I owed them the apology. But in all those times I was remembering, and in all those times I never thought, you know what, maybe I shouldn't have forgiven. I shouldn't have asked for forgiveness. I shouldn't have done that. I should have just kept my anger. No, I never thought that, because it is so refreshing to let go of that hurt. And number one, give it to God. And number two, just make that choice to let go of that hurt. Because look, as we see here, it's carried on through generations and generations. And you want to just stop that and be blessed by God. And just decide to be free. Decide to be free from any hurt that your relatives might have done to you. Any hurt that somebody might have done to you. Just be free from that. And so that's what I feel like God spoke to me as I was studying this, and I hope that that came across as I was reading all these. There's so many Bible verses, but I hope that y'all received that, and I hope it's a blessing to you. And it's just very interesting how everything in the Bible is just together as one. But yeah, love y'all, girls.